Hey everyone, when I first started making OPZ videos, I had only had mine for about 6 months, and at this point I've had it for 2 years. So I want to start making some sort of less formal, less scripted videos where I talk about tips and tricks that have really helped me a lot. And so I'm going to title them a bit more vague because they are going to be maybe underwhelming on the surface, but these are kind of big deal things that hopefully will change how you use your OPZ. So the first thing I want to talk about is going to be the performance track and punch-in effects, and they are the same thing. So if I take my performance track and I change the step length to 8 by holding track and shift and hitting the value key 8, I am now able to record the punch-in effects from all these tracks. Let me just show you as an example. So I'm going to go to the drum track and we're going to record here. So we can go over to our performance track and we can see that these 3 steps have notes on them. But I'll only be able to see this first one because this is the only time that I did a group punch-in effect, and that's all that you can see on this track's keyboard. You can't change octaves, which is a little unfortunate because this one you can't see. You can't see which track it's on, and this one you also can't see which track it's on. If you have a programmable MIDI controller like I have with the QNexus here, you can take advantage of this by assigning keys or notes in different octaves on track 13, the performance track, and it will mute just those tracks. Basically, I'm sending F in in 3 different octaves. I'm sending G in 3 different octaves. Which, warning about this, if you play a different note, it's going to loop the last note played on that track. Oops. So here. So even if I have it play again, if I send that loop, which I guess could be kind of cool and, could have its own effect or could have its own purposes for, performing and stuff like that, but it can be kind of a pain if you do that on accident and you're not sure what's going on and why this isn't working anymore. I generally like to stick to the mutes, so that's why I'm going to give you one last piece of advice. What if I want to mute all of these from the very beginning? So I just muted all the drums and I put it on the very first step, and let's hear what happens. It still plays one note, and the reason for that is I think that it kind of like evaluates, I guess, the these tracks before this one. I don't really know. I'm just pretending to know things here. What you can do is I'm going to move this first step a little bit late just by holding down the step and hitting plus 1 time. So you still hear that hi-hat or that cymbal because I didn't do that to that step, but I did here. And if you really hate the idea of this, you could make it so that it's on time most of the time. So if I do a multiply 0, that's actually going to make this quantized. And I'm going to add a component spark 8888 because I do want it to be late on that first time. And so if we have this pattern running for a bunch of repeats, that means that the very first of every measure is going to be just very, very slightly late, and that really shouldn't make a difference. So let's do the same thing over here with our hi-hat, and let's make it multiply 0 and component spark 8888. So that's like a shortcut kind of to get your drums to start like late if you want. So honestly, that's like about as much depth as I personally care to go into this. There's probably a lot more to discover, but I'll leave that to you because for me, just dealing with the mutes and the loops and occasionally throwing in like a fill or something like that is more than enough to add variation through the performance track. So I just wanted to let you know that this is a pretty cool thing, especially if you have like a programmable controller or if you're able to just have the patience to deal with the mutes on each individual track. Just remember to set that performance track's length to being 8. And that's all I had today. Thank you for watching, and I will see you next time.